Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, you're going to learn how to play a really cool standalone composition that's a minor key composition, works on acoustic or electric guitar, and you don't need any accompaniment. You can play this by yourself. So we're going to break it all down note for note. I'll explain some tips that I've learned for playing in a minor key, some things you can do over chord changes to just enhance your playing, whether you're writing music or you're improvising. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and access the on-screen tab viewer, which is interactive, and also download the tab PDF file, you can get that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP314. Alright, so we're going to break down this minor key composition note for note, and as we go through it, I'm going to be pointing out some tips that I've learned when playing in a minor key and playing over minor chords. These are things that you can take from this composition and transfer that knowledge to your own playing, your own improvising, writing your own music. So that's what I want you to do. Not just memorize a song and not have any understanding as to why it all works. Memorizing the song is great and it's fun to play it, but if you understand why everything works, it becomes that much more usable from a knowledge perspective. Alright, so this song is played in the key of D minor, and it's really a 1-4-5 chord format. You have a minor 1, which is a D minor, you have a 4 chord, which is a minor, so it's a G minor, and then the major 5 chord. And so in this case we're playing an A7 chord. And those are the three chords that we're using through this entire composition. We're playing everything over those chords. Now that's a common scenario that happens when playing in a minor key, to have a minor 1, a minor 4, but then a major 5 creates a tension. You release that tension when you come back to the 1 chord. It's a very cool effect. And so kind of keep that in mind if you're trying to write something in a minor key. However you're getting back to where you started, try putting in a major chord and then you can release that tension. Okay, so the first thing that happens then in the song is a classic minor chord walk down. You've heard this in so many songs: Stairway to Heaven, Time in a Bottle, the list goes on and on. Those are the two that pop into my head. But here's what we're going to learn. It's this walk down when you're playing over a minor chord where you've got your root note. So in this case we're playing a D minor chord. And the root note, which is your D, it walks down chromatically. So we're just going fret by fret. So it goes down to a D flat, then down to a C, and then down to a C flat. The other two notes of the chord are staying the same. So and you've heard that in so many songs, and why that's important to you to know how to play this is when you're playing a minor chord in a song, if you're in a jam or something, instead of just hanging out on the chord, you can now use this walk down. It just gives you much more of a sophisticated sound. Now we're going to learn this over 2 minor chord shapes. So we're going to start off with this chord shape. That's kind of, if you think of your A minor shape down in first position, if you were to slide it up and put a bar there, in this case on the 5th fret, you'd be playing a D minor chord. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look at the top 3 strings of that. They're easy to play. If you don't play the full bar chord, you just play the top 3 strings of that chord, you're creating a little stair step. That's how I think of this. So you've got your index finger on the 5th fret 1st string, middle finger 6th fret 2nd string, ring finger 7th fret 3rd string. That's your stair step. And we're going to throw in that open D note just because we can, because we're playing over a D minor chord. So we're going to start with the 4th string. It's going to be 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to leave our index finger, and then these 2 fingers are going to come up, middle and ring finger are going to come up off the fretboard and go down on the 6th fret, strings 2 and 3, like that. So now we're going to play 3, 2, 1, 2. So what you're trying to do is let that D note ring out. It's kind of hard to do because it's easy to bump it, and if you bump it, it kills it from ringing out. But just try and let it ring out. If you happen to bump it, it's not the end of the world, but that was my goal anyway. Now from here we're going to walk down again. So now I'm going to leave my ring finger on the 6th fret 2nd string. These 2 fingers are going to come up, middle and index are going to come up and go down on the 1st and 3rd string on the 5th fret. And you can see what that is. It's the D chord shape. So from the beginning we have, and then my index finger slides down 1 more fret, so it comes down to the 4th fret 3rd string. And and then I just do a strum there. And that's that classic walk down. That's how I like to play it. Now we're doing this in the key of D, so you got that open D string ringing out. What if you were doing it in a different key using that chord shape? Let's say we were playing a C minor using that chord shape. Well, you just wouldn't have the open 4th string ringing out. So you just focus on the top 3 strings. And it sounds okay even without that drone string ringing out. So you can now play that walk down over that A minor chord shape. So the next thing that happens is the song goes to the minor 4 chord. We're going to use that same walk down technique. This time over the G minor chord. And I wanted to show you how to do it over 2 different minor chord shapes. These are the 2 most common minor chord shapes. So now we're looking at the E. If you think of the E minor chord, down in 1st position, slide it up, put your bar down on the 3rd fret, there's your G minor chord, right? Well, we don't need to play the full chord, we just need the top 4 strings in this case. So we're going to bar the first 3 with our index finger, ring finger is going to go down the 5th fret, 4th string, and it sounds like this. Now we're going to use that same walk down technique, using the root note, in this case it's our G, we're going to walk down again, and walk down again, so it's going to sound like this. Same thing we did over the D, but now I'm showing you how to do it over a different chord shape. And I find this one to be even easier. You get an extra string in there, it sounds a little more full, I guess. And to play that walk down, we're on the 5th fret 4th string with our root note there. Then we're going to come down, so I'm keeping the bar, but I've got my middle finger now on the 4th fret 4th string. And then I've got my index finger jumping up, so I'm barring all 4 strings now on the 3rd fret. And then I'm going to bring my index finger down to the 2nd fret 4th string, and I use my ring finger for this to go ahead and bar those same 3 strings on the 3rd fret. And that's the walk down. Really cool technique. So you can remember that now. Let that be a huge takeaway for you going forward. If you're playing something with a minor chord in it, and you're playing this chord shape, you can now use that little walk down to just enhance your playing. Okay, let me back up from the beginning now. I'll play through the first 2 chords. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we go to the 5 chord. Remember, the 5 chord is that A7. And what I'm playing for that, wow, sounds complicated, maybe, but it's really not. It's very simple. All I'm doing is playing an A7 in a few different positions up the neck. This is why caged is so important. I always stress that in these lessons, because that's what it all comes back to in the end. It's some form of caged. So you can check that out if you aren't familiar. EP314, that was the lesson number where I go over the caged, or was it 273? It's one of those. Anyway, we're going to start this with an A7. The way that I'm playing it is I've got my ring finger on the 2nd fret 2nd string, my middle finger's on the 2nd fret 4th string, and then my pinky is up here on the 3rd fret 1st string. That's just how I like to finger that. You can use different fingers if that's easier for you. I just find that to be easier. So once you've got your left hand fingering, your right hand plays right down the strings. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you have, and then, so that's the next move, is to play this D7 chord shape. So think of your D7 down in 1st position. If you were to slide that shape up, you've got your middle and ring finger on the 7th fret, and then you've got your index finger here on the 6th fret 2nd string. And I'm playing 3, 1, 2. And then slide that up 2 frets. So you have, all right? So backing up from the A part, the A7 part, we have, and then I came up here. And what I'm doing here is I'm playing another A7 chord. I'm just using this version of that triad. So now I've got my ring finger and my middle finger on the 12th fret, strings 1 and 3, and my index finger on the 10th fret, string 2. And I think when I played it, I only played strings 3 and 1, but I went ahead and made the full chord just because it's comfortable to do, and you're already in position for it. So all together then. And so this is an A7, this is an A7, and this is an A7. Now that one is not an A7, but it's just sort of a passing chord to get us to the A7. It just sounded right to me, and I didn't really study it. To be honest, I probably accidentally grabbed that when I was writing this composition, and I thought, that kind of works. So that's what we're playing over the A part. Let's back it up now from the beginning and play the D minor, the G minor, and then over the A7 chord. All right, and then that's what we're going to learn. Now, all I did there was I went back to the D minor chord and then to the A7. So to play that D minor chord, I'm just thinking of D minor down in first position. This is the one that probably the first version of a D minor chord that you ever learned. And I'm taking my index finger off. So I'm playing strings 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I put my index finger down on the first fret, first string. Then I do a pull off. So once I play that first fret, first string, do a pull off, and then string 2 and 3. So, and then that's just the A7 chord. I've got my middle finger and my ring finger both in the second fret, strings 2 and 4, and I play 5, which is the open A, 5, 4, 3, and then my pinky goes down on the third fret, second string, and then it comes off. So now it all loops, and so now I've kind of established the song. And so what I did here was back to that walk down. And so instead of picking the notes out of it, I'm just strumming it this time. And I only played the first 2 steps out of that walk down. I didn't play all 4. And the reason for that is I wanted to play some fill licks, just some little notes, a little lead part in between them. And I like the fact that you can do that once you've set up the song and the listener's ear kind of knows what's coming. You can actually just step away from playing chords and play your lead stuff. As long as you get back into the chords pretty quickly, it'll work. And so that's what's going on there. So some little fill licks. So we have, and you know those chords, right? Just play the first 2 steps out of the walk down. And then I went to the 5th fret, second string, did a half bend, so that's coming up here to the 6th fret, that's the note you're trying to hit. Bend and release, 7th fret, 3rd string, 6th fret, 3rd string. Then back to the 5th fret, 2nd string, back to the 7th fret, 3rd string, and then a quick slide with my middle finger from the 7th fret, 4th string, down to the 5th fret, 4th string. Then down to the 3rd fret, 4th string, and then my ring finger goes down on the 5th fret, 4th string, and now I'm in position. So I just set myself up to get in position to go ahead and play the G minor walk down. So all together then. Now what are these notes and where are they coming from? They're coming from the D minor harmonic scale. So there's like 3 versions of the minor scale. There's the natural minor scale, the melodic minor, and the harmonic minor. And the harmonic minor scale is exactly the same as the natural minor scale, except for 1 note difference. When you get to the 7th interval, it's sharp. So the natural minor scale for D sounds like this. The harmonic minor scale for D sounds like this. See that one note different? It just went sharp. Instead of playing it here, I played it here. And I find myself using that scale over this type of music. So how do you know which minor scale to use when you're improvising or writing music? You really don't. There is no right answer for it. It just depends on the tension that you want to create. Any of them would have worked. I just like the tension of that. It just had that kind of medieval sound, and it sort of worked with that major chord going to the minor chord. It just seemed to fit better to my ear. All right, so backing up then from the second time through. Then I played. And what that is, that's the G minor scale, G natural minor scale, or the G harmonic minor. I didn't play enough notes to really define it, but I switched scales there to match that G minor chord. And what I'm doing there to play that, 2nd fret 3rd string, 3rd fret 3rd string, and then I use my pinky up here on the 5th fret 3rd string. Then back to 3, 2, 3, and then I came down to the 5th fret 4th string. And then I walked up chromatically, so I went from that note up to the 6th fret on the 4th string, and then that puts us in position to play that A chord. That's the next note. So that's the next thing we're going to play there. And so let me back it up then from the beginning of that second time through. We have. Now I'm playing that A7 chord just the way we did before. I've got my middle finger, ring finger on the 2nd fret, strings 2 and 4. And what I'm playing here sounds complicated, but it's super easy. It's really just that harmonic minor scale, but it's harmonized. It's played in harmonized 6. That's what's going on here. So I start with this A minor shape here. Then I just take my fingers and I slide them up to the 5th frets. They're still on strings 2 and 4. So it's 5, 4, strum, 5, 4, strum. And then we're going to take those the same fingerings but slide it all the way up here to the 8th fret. 5, 4, strum. Has a really kind of creepy sound. Okay, and then I'm going to play. And what I'm doing there is I've got my middle finger, ring finger on the 7th fret, strings 3 and 4, index fingers on the 6th fret, 2nd string. And I play the middle 4 strings. So back to the A7, and then we're going to go back to the D minor. Now what I played when I played the D minor here, see, there's that harmonic minor thing again, where you're going a half step down back to where you're back to the root note, which is A in this case. And so the way that I played that D part was I went ahead and made a D minor chord here in first position, but took my index finger off and played strings 4, 3, 2, 1, the open 1 string. Then my index finger goes down on the 1st fret 1st string. So you have string 2, pinky goes down on the 3rd fret 1st string, hold the rest of the chord there. So you have, all right, so backing up with the D, we have pinky comes up to the 4th fret 1st string. And while that 4th fret 1st string is ringing out, I hit the 5th string, the open 5th string, and then I slid my pinky up to the 5th fret 1st string. Sounds complicated, but if you just watch it, it's 1, 5, slide, 1, 5, slide, and then, so that's 6th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, all on the 1st string. So let me back up and play that part again. All right, so that's a lot of information, And we've already learned a good chunk of the song. I'm going to save the rest of the composition for the part 2 video. Remember, if you're a premium member, you get access to the tablature and the interactive tab viewer. You can slow it down and loop sections and all of that. So check into premium membership if you haven't already. But let me back up and play through this one more time. I'll play through all of this slowly, and then I'll see you in part 2 so we can learn the rest. All right, here we go.